While most people can fuse with only a single monster, he, on the other hand, can fuse with up to 9.9 million. The first monster he fused with? None other than the legendary Emperor Demon Mad Flame Daimala, a being of royal bloodline. Despite awakening such an overwhelming gift, he was still mocked as a useless failure. Why? Because the world's evaluation system was far too primitive to comprehend or measure his immense potential. At that very moment, his consciousness descended into a new world. Snapping his eyes open, still trying to make sense of his surroundings, a strange message suddenly appeared in his mind. This world was called Blue Star, a land ruled by martial prowess, constantly threatened by monstrous beasts emerging through mysterious portals. These terrifying creatures had already annihilated several nations. After years of struggle, humanity developed the Beast Gene system, a way to awaken hidden power by injecting beast genes, turning ordinary people into powerful warriors. It became the only path to defend civilization. Thus began an era where martial strength determined everything. Our protagonist, Yihei, a young man who traveled from another world, is now just a warrior prep student preparing for his final exams. Recalling the memories of the previous owner of this body, he found out that after losing both his parents in a tragic accident during his sophomore year, his will to train and study crumbled, leaving him at the bottom of his class. As he was still wondering what he should do, a bald man appeared in the classroom, standing in front of all the students. He informed everyone that today was the day they would be injected with the gene modification serum, the day all their efforts over the past 3 years of building their physique and training their martial energy would finally be put to the test. Turning toward our boy, he gave him a sharp look and said, "Those who never took this seriously will be left behind." Seeing his expression, our boy couldn't help but wonder why he was being treated that way. It's not like he had been slacking off for the past 3 years. Still, he knew things had to change now. He had inherited the original guy's role in this world, and that meant it was up to him to clean up the mess no matter what it took. Eventually, all of them arrived at the school hall, buzzing with excitement to see what kind of abilities they would awaken. As the students continued chatting among themselves, the massive metal boxes on the stage suddenly began to open. From within emerged large tubes, each one containing the gene awakening serum, infused with the primal genes of every magic beast ever recorded by humanity. Before handing out the injections, the teacher explained a few important things to the students. Once they injected the serum into their bodies, they would randomly awaken abilities from various monsters. However, the strength of the gene they awakened would depend entirely on their own physique. He also warned them that the process could be painful, and they would need to endure it and embrace the surge of power that followed. With that, the injections were distributed to the students, and one by one, they began awakening their abilities. Watching their reactions, our boy hesitated for a moment. But with no other option, he steeled himself, and without wasting any more time, injected the serum. As soon as the serum entered his body, his eyes began to glow with a bright blue light, radiating an otherworldly intensity. But in the very next second, the glow vanished. Both he and the teacher were left puzzled, wondering why his body wasn't undergoing any visible changes, unlike the rest of the students who were already reacting to the serum. Before either of them could understand what was going on, a girl named Wang Xing approached our boy with a smug expression, informing both of them that a loser like him just wasn't able to awaken anything. Poking at his face, she told our boy it was a good thing, as now he didn't have to worry about being a warrior and could just go home and wait to die like a loser. But our Sigma male held back his emotions, reminding himself that he couldn't hit a girl, but also recalled how this BH made the life of the previous owner of this body a living hell. Just then, something started happening to his body as he felt a sharp pain coursing through his veins. And out of nowhere, a system window appeared in front of him, informing him he had awakened an ability called Infinite Monster Template, along with 4 skills. Seeing him shivering in pain, Wang Xin couldn't help but wonder what he was doing. Was he trying to pretend to be awakening his powers just to save face? But our boy, clearly fed up with her, tells her to get away from him. But the girl refused, so our boy thought it is what it is, and decided to let her suffer the consequences of her actions. With that, a powerful surge of energy exploded from his body, knocking the girl away like a twig. This was the power of an A-rank monster called Mad Flame Daimola, which looked just like Godzilla, so that's what I'm gonna call it. The girl slammed violently several meters away, scaring everyone in the room as they tried to get away from our boy, since his aura was too overwhelming for them to handle. After the power had fully infused with his body, Yi suddenly saw a system interface pop up, explaining the details of his awakening. It read that he had obtained an A-rank template, Mad Flame Daimola, and along with it a few bloodline abilities. The first was Scorching Breath, the second Molten Pulse, and the third Spore Absorption. There was also an advanced form, but it was currently locked. His compatibility with the power was only at 3%. And he needed to reach 100% to unlock its full potential. Meanwhile, the rest of the students were freaking out, seeing how he managed to blow away everyone just by his aura. Not only that, he even managed to knock out the poor Wang Xin, who had awakened a second-tier magic beast. Overwhelmed by all the sudden praise, our boy scratched his head and apologized, saying he warned Wang Xin to step back. She just didn't listen. As that was happening, an announcement echoed through the hall, calling all students to proceed to the testing building for examination. It was time to see what kind of magical beast genes they had awakened. Arriving in the place, our boys saw massive tube-looking devices covering the whole room. With that, the testing began. One by one, students entered the pods and the results started rolling in. A bunch of students came out with very powerful awakened abilities after their gene modification. But despite all that, all eyes were on our boy, since he was the one with the most powerful aura and everyone had high expectations from him. Despite all the pressure, he approached the tube and upon entering, the machine did its thing. And to everyone's shock, he was ranked at the bottom of the class. According to the machine, he had awakened at Martial Disciple Stage 3 with an unknown bloodline. Seeing the test results, the whole place that was praising him just seconds ago filled up with mocking laughter from the students. Damn, some even said that what happened earlier was probably just a loud fart that blew everyone away. Meanwhile, our boy, after hearing their words, quietly walked out of the machine, disappointed that his template wasn't detected by the machine. But little did they know, while the machine was scanning his body, it triggered the system to show him a new skill that he possessed called Infinite Monster Template, and to upgrade it, he had to either complete quests or increase his reputation. Every time he did, he would unlock additional monster templates. Realizing how powerful this ability was, our boy started laughing like a maniac, realizing if he kept leveling up his skill, it was just a matter of time before he became the king of all monsters. Fast forward to the next day, he was seen standing next to the teacher, telling him he wanted to take a break from school and study at home to prepare for the upcoming college entrance exam. He explained that he'd already fallen behind, and if he wanted to catch up to the others, he needed to go through special training. But the teacher shook his head and told him straight, his foundation was too weak. There was no way he'd pass the college exam like this. He suggested our boy just accept reality, repeat the year, and try again next time. But our fool, not giving up, insisted, telling the man that he had awakened a powerful bloodline. And if he really wanted to get stronger, he couldn't just sit in a classroom all day. He needed to be out there training hard. That was the only way for him to pass the exam. Seeing his sparkling eyes, the old man felt a bit uneasy but reluctantly agreed to his request. He already knew the kid wasn't going to pass, even if he kept coming to school, so honestly, it was better to just let him go and keep him out of his class. Fast forward, he was seen making his way through the city, thinking back to what he had done. After mortgaging the house for $600,000 and with the compensation money from his parents' accident, he now had over $1 million saved up, a decent amount for startup capital. The reason he was doing all this was simple. There were only two ways for him to level up. One, by leveling up as a warrior, and two, by increasing the compatibility rate with Timura's template. According to the info in the Infinite Monster template, every template starts with just 1 point of compatibility, but Timura had 3. That meant the other 2 points came from absorbing the genetic awakening serum, which led him to one important conclusion. He could enhance a template's power by consuming gene-related serums. So instead of training himself to death like everyone else, he just needed to spend money to raise his template's compatibility. Eventually, he arrived at the place, but the moment he stepped in, he was left speechless. The entire building was packed with people who had awakened their bloodlines, and the pressure in the air was overwhelming. After awakening Mad Flame Demora, he had gained one of its unique sensory abilities, Life Magnetic Field. With it, he could sense the chi and blood surging inside every single person in the room, and all of it was triggering something deep inside him, his fighting desire. After all, Mad Demora wasn't just some random beast, it was the king of all monsters, a creature born to dominate, destined to conquer all life on the planet. As he was standing there, gritting his teeth like an idiot, he suddenly got startled when someone called out to him from behind. Turning around, he saw a healthy-looking girl standing there staring at him. She had clearly noticed him peeking into people's chi. Realizing he got caught, our boy quickly apologized. But the girl didn't seem to mind. She just assumed he was a newbie who couldn't control his powers and brushed it off. Still, she was curious. Why would someone like him be at the warrior's center? So our boy explained he was here to buy genetic medicine, but the place was too damn huge and he got lost. That actually surprised the girl. Seeing her expression, he casually asked if he should even be buying it. The girl explained that wasn't the issue. The problem was that the medicine was extremely expensive, and if he used too much of it, he'd build up resistance, making it less effective over time. She told him that most warriors wait until their bloodline reaches a bottleneck before using another dose just to get the most out of it. But for him, that didn't matter. He didn't care about bottlenecks. He just needed to raise his compatibility rate with Timura's template. So he asked her straight up, how much does it cost? And her answer hit him like a truck. 400,000. And that wasn't even the high-grade stuff, just the solid-type beginner potion. With his current savings, he couldn't even afford 5. With no other option, he asked if she knew someone who could give him a discount. To his surprise, she handed him a business card. When he looked at it, he saw her name, Huang Yi Li, a 4th-rank martial artist. She told him that if he used her referral, he'd get a discount at the counter. He nodded, thanked her, and started walking away, already doing the math in his head. But when he arrived at the counter, he was taken aback. Everything was way more expensive than he expected. Still, he knew he needed this if he wanted to get stronger. So, after an exhausting day of spending a ridiculous amount of money, he finally made it back home. Without wasting a second, he injected his body with every dose of serum he bought. And at least it paid off. His beast template jumped from 3% to 7%, and his overall stats skyrocketed. He even managed to break through and reach armed rank 7, but all that came with a massive toll on his body. Sure, his physique had improved a lot, but while using the potions he noticed something. As his body grew stronger, triggering further base mutations became harder and harder. Still, it was a huge win. He managed to reach a level that normally takes an average person 3 years to achieve, and he did it in a single day using nothing but his base physical stats. He hadn't even started tapping into Dimola's bloodline power yet. With everything in place, he was finally ready to head into the secret realm. We're told these secret realms are made up of different rifts, each ranked from S to E based on the danger level of the beasts inside. S-rank rifts are a straight-up nightmare, the kind of place where the monsters don't just kill you, they end civilizations. If those beasts ever made it into the real world, it'd be an apocalyptic mess. Which is why not everyone gets permission to step into one. Fast forward to the next day, our boy was all geared up, wearing his newly bought equipment, ready to enter his first ever secret realm. But once inside the facility, he noticed something weird. The place was a lot less crowded than he expected. Maybe it was because this particular rift was pretty old. Most of the treasure was probably already looted, leaving behind just a bunch of low-level beasts. Perfect training dummies for rookies. Not thinking too much about it, he walked up to the front desk and told the woman he was here to get his entry ticket. She barely looked up before slamming a stack of papers in front of him. Those death waivers? That's your ticket. Fast forward again, he was now standing in front of a massive portal, staring straight into the mouth of the secret realm. Just seeing it got him fired up. This was it, the start of his journey to become the king of beasts. Without wasting another second, he leapt toward the rift. For a moment, it felt like falling into an endless pit. But soon he was thrown out the other side, and what he saw left him speechless. Even though he'd read about this place 100 times in books, nothing compared to actually standing in it. The scenery was insane, way more majestic than he ever imagined. As he was admiring the view, a bunny-looking creature managed to sneak up on him from behind. It was a first-rank beast called the Baldafang Rabbit, and the thing was clearly thirsty for blood. Wasting no time, it leapt straight at him, and for some reason, its booty looked way chunkier mid-air, like it was trying to add weight to the impact. But to the creature's horror, our boy was too fast. He dodged with ease, spun around, and grabbed it by the ears like he was picking up a plush toy. Grinning, he muttered, "You think I didn't sense your fat-ass hop from the start?" He'd already picked up its presence using Life Magnetic Field. Wasting no more time, he crushed its skull with his bare hands. As the creature's body disintegrated, a magic core dropped out. Our boy picked it up and immediately recognized it. Average quality, probably worth around 1,000 yuan. Not bad for a few minutes of walking and one rabbit fatality. Especially since most people bust their backs for a whole month just to make 3,000 to 4,000. Still, collecting too many first-rank beast cores wasn't worth the time. He needed something stronger. And as if the world heard him loud and clear, a massive worm-looking beast appeared right next to him. It was a second-rank demon corpse bug. Just seeing it made our boy's eyes light up. This was more like it. Without wasting a breath, he started unsheathing his blade, ready to turn this overgrown maggot into minced meat. With that, he leapt straight at the damn thing, weapon in hand, and managed to land a heavy hit on the overgrown insect. But before he could even turn around properly, the beast had already curled up like Sonic on crack and came rolling at him full speed. Realizing this wasn't enough to put it down, our boy activated his martial arts technique. And boom, a Kamehameha-looking blast slammed straight into the creature's gut, stopping it mid-charge. He thought it was over until the damn bug launched its mandibles like missiles and our boy barely managed to dodge. But even then, the damn thing ripped right through his outfit, the same one he paid a fortune for. And that was the last straw. Something in him snapped. He was done playing. Since the previous owner of this body never trained properly, he knew it wouldn't be able to handle full power for long. So, with no other option, he activated Mad Dimola's Emperor Demon bloodline. In seconds, his body started to transform. His limbs twisted into the fanged arms of the Mad Demon. His power level jumped from 15 to 21 just like that. Meanwhile, the beast had already lunged at him with its mouth wide open. But this time, our boy didn't flinch. He charged straight into its mouth, dove into the belly of the beast, literally, and started shredding it from the inside like a blender set to max. And then, just when the thing thought it could stomach him, he ripped his way out through its butt. With his overall physique skyrocketing to 21 points, he completely crushed the Tier 2 corpse demon bug. But once he deactivated the transformation, the backlash kicked in. His body was burning up like a jet engine and he had to release the excess heat just to stay conscious. And to make things worse, his short sword, the one he just bought for 2.5 million, got corroded by the corpse bug's venom. A weapon that expensive couldn't even handle a Tier 2 monster. What a scam. Terrible quality control. 1-star review incoming. On top of that, all that energy used had left him starving, and of course, he forgot to bring food. As he stood there trying to figure out what to do next, he caught a delicious smell drifting through the air. His stomach growled. No way, following the scent, he tracked it to the magic core the demon bug dropped. For a second, I really thought he was about to eat the bug's remains. It turns out, the magic core itself was the source of the aroma. Without a second thought, he swallowed it whole. The moment it entered his body, the core began to get absorbed instantly. Outside, his body started emitting waves of energy, and right then, a system notification popped up informing him his compatibility increased from 7% to 7.3%. His eyes widened in shock. That tiny green magic core boosted his compatibility by 0.3%, and just like that, his excitement turned into pure pain. To think he spent hundreds of thousands on a genetic potion just to get a 1% boost. 3 or 4 of these random drops were worth more than that damn potion. Bro was living proof that pay to win doesn't always win. So to turn his frustration to motivation, he decided to hunt monsters to his heart's content. With that, he activated Life Field ability, tracking all the monsters in the vicinity. Fast forward to the next afternoon, our boy came out of the portal with his compatibility reaching to 9%, and his overall physique to 15.8, and after reaching 9%, consuming more white magic cores wasn't increasing his compatibility anymore, so he decided to trade them for money instead. As he appeared in front of the lady at the counter with all his loot, the woman was left speechless seeing how many stones a high school student managed to collect in a single trip. As our sparkling idiot stood there brimming with pride, the female informed him that according to the government's regulations, martial artists must submit 1/10 of their loot, so he needed to hand in 5 white ones, which left him with 200,000 credits left in hand. Fast forward, 9 days left until the college entrance exam. We are shown a bunch of thug-looking adventurers arguing about a blood jade flower bounty they failed to complete last time they entered a rift. One of their guys got injured. Now they were stuck with only 5 members. And by regulation, you need 6 to enter a D-class secret realm. Their party leader, Lin He, a tier 2 martial artist, contacted an agency to get them a 6th member. And guess who showed up? Our sparkling fool. Since he was still a student and nowhere near qualified to enter a D-class realm, he went the shady route, paid 100,000 credits to an illegal agency to get a fake identity. And yeah, it was a total ripoff. But what's done is done. He pulled up with fake documents and the team looked him up and down. He looked way too young, and the name on his ID was also suspicious. Yeah, even they were confused. But desperate times, desperate hires. They let it slide for now. Still, with only martial disciple level 9 strength, Lin He gave him the classic stay out of the way speech. Don't cause trouble, just observe. With that, all of them jumped into the jeep and started heading toward the rift. After coming out the other side, our boy was surprised. This time the place looked like a straight-up desert. Last time he ended up in a forest, so this pretty much confirmed it. These secret realms weren't part of one connected world. Each one was its own thing. As he was still thinking that over, Lin He spoke up saying their trackers showed the blood jade flower was located in an oasis up ahead, guarded by a tier 2 monster with a general level bloodline. As they made their way there, a bunch of earth demon rats suddenly popped up and started chasing after the jeep. Without flinching, a party member named Hood jumped in. Dude pulled out a handful of throwing knives, launched them at the incoming swarm, and boom, nailed several clean shots. But that wasn't even the best part. In the very next second, all the knives exploded. The entire rat pack got wiped out in one move. Our boy just stared, genuinely impressed. Man was cold with it. Eventually, they arrived near the oasis, a bright patch of green in the middle of all that sand. But for some reason, instead of driving all the way there, they got out and started walking. Our boy was confused. We got a jeep. Why are we walking? Lin He explained casually, the monsters near the oasis are sound sensitive. We drive in, we alert everything. And that was something they can't afford right now. While walking, Lin He started handing out tasks for everyone. Xiao Xiaoye was in charge of throwing a stun grenade to lure the beast out. Xiao Wu and Hood were on trap duty. Old Liu would hang back and provide support fire. Lin He himself would take the front line. And as for our boy, he got the most important role of all. Stay out of the way and don't screw anything up. Classic. Once everyone was in position, Xiao Xia lobbed the stun grenade into the air, but this wasn't your average flashbang. Thing was loaded with high-level monster pheromones, designed to trigger territorial rage, and rage it did. Just like clockwork, a massive beast burst out from under the sand. Tier 2 Earth Dragon. Not a real dragon, but definitely had the attitude. It didn't even hesitate. Thing roared and charged straight toward the squad like it just heard someone insult its mother. Meanwhile, someone else was approaching the area from another direction. He stopped near the old battlefield and noticed the wreckage. Specifically, the throwing knives Hood had used to obliterate those rats earlier. He picked one up, grinned like a man who's never done anything legal in his life. A crazy-looking baldy, eyes twitching, and yeah, dude definitely wasn't there to make friends. Meanwhile, back at the oasis, the team had just managed to decapitate the giant earth dragon, its massive body crashing to the ground with a quake. Seeing the sight, everyone started cheering. They'd done it. They finally managed to take down a tier 2 monster. But just as they let their guard down, plot twist. The headless body suddenly came back to life, lunged forward, and swung its massive claw straight at Lin He. He had zero time to dodge. Luckily for him, they'd brought our boy along, and our boy, he wasn't about to just stand there. He leapt straight into the air, charged up, and blasted a full-power Kamehameha right into the thing's back. Boom, one hit, clean kill. The whole party stood there, jaws on the floor. How the hell did a martial novice pull off something that insane? Seconds later, they were all swarming him, showering him with praise like he just saved the world. With the Earth Dragon finally dead for real, they harvested the soul essence from its body, the rare item they'd come all this way for. And standing a bit off to the side, our boy was just staring, mouth-watering. The thing smelled divine, and he knew if he ate it, it'd crank his compatibility up big time. But before he could even start scheming chaos, Hood, the same guy who casually blew up rats earlier, suddenly stabbed Lin He in the back. The whole party froze in shock. No one moved, no one spoke. They just stared, and then Hood leapt back, landing beside a new figure, the same shady Baldy from before. Turns out Hood was working for him all along. Our boy had no idea what was going on, so he asked if they know who that Baldy was, and here's Xiao Wu telling him that it was Huo Peng, a bandit who robs martial artists in secret realms. If you find loot and he finds you, it's his now. Meanwhile, Lin He had already figured out the dagger was poisoned, but more importantly, he couldn't stop thinking, how the hell did Huo Peng know they were here? Even his own teammates had only found out about the location of Blood Jade Flower after entering the dungeon, but our boy knew exactly how. Hood had used those knives to embed the info in the dirt while taking out those rats. Seeing how quickly he figured it out, Hood was honestly impressed. But somehow he already knew about our boy's true identity, that he was still in school, prepping for the college entrance exams. So he chuckled and told him to leave this business to the adults. But our boy wasn't intimidated one bit. He looked the man dead in the eye and said, "I'm aiming for a top score in the exam." There was no way he was going to run from a weakling like him. That line hit hard. Hood snapped. Wasting no time, he threw a dagger straight at our boy, but to his horror, our boy caught it midair with 2 fingers. Seeing how a lowlife like him was acting up in front of him, our boy prepares to go all out and finish him off. By then, the Baldy Huo Peng was also getting curious about our boy, so he gave the signal to Hood to finish him off. As soon as the order dropped, Hood went off, started hurling a barrage of mana-infused knives like he was spamming a special move. But our boy just opened his mouth and let out a roar so strong it shattered every single blade mid-flight. Dust settled. Silence. But Hood, gone. Our boy barely had a second to react before Hood appeared out of nowhere, right behind him, ready to finish it with a brutal flying kick. But our boy didn't even flinch. He just placed 2 fingers on his forehead and after charging, he fired off a laser blast that burned straight through Hood's chest. With that attack, he one-shotted the fool. Everyone stood there stunned, watching Hood's motionless body smash into the ground like a rag doll. Even Huo Peng was shocked seeing a kid using a gene technique. In his rage, he asked what great family he belonged to. But our boy just flashed him an evil grin, because now it was his turn. But before jumping in, our boy informed the fool he was from the Demonra clan and asked if he was planning on begging for forgiveness now. And that was all it took to piss him off. Huo Peng's body started glowing as he channeled everything he had, and just like that, man turned into Marvel's Abomination, minus the copyright. He activated his bloodline, Tyrant Black Bear, huge, hulking, ugly as sin. Without wasting a second, the dude lunged forward with a move called Peak Shaker. Our boy, not even sweating, he crouched low, blasted the guy's knee with a laser. The bald beast went nuts, started spinning like a Beyblade on steroids. But by then, our boy was already in the air. Didn't matter though, the bear freak was fast. In a blink, he leaped into the sky too, ready to squash him like a bug. And he did. Hulk smash. Shockwaves tore through the air. But plot twist. Our boy had been holding back the whole time. By the time Big Ugly realized it, he was already behind him. No delay, our boy activated Core Fusion, mountain-crushing fists, and unleashed hell. A storm of punches one after another, so fast, so heavy, the guy didn't even get a chance to dodge. By the end of it, old Baldy was barely breathing, body broken, face wrecked, couldn't even move a muscle. Everyone froze after that insane beatdown. But the one most shocked, Baldy himself. Still twitching, he started cursing our boy out, accusing him of using toxic gas mid-fight to slow him down. That's why he wasn't able to move properly. But our boy just stood there, not giving a damn in the world, looking down on him like dirt. Toxic gas? Please. Excuses like that won't even scratch my ego. You think you're special? Bro, I've had nobody's curse me out all week. You're just another name on the pile. Not even worth top billing on my blacklist. And just like that, boom, lights out. The story fast forwards to the day of the martial arts tournament. The announcer's voice booms through the stadium, welcoming everyone. We're told that the college entrance exam uses a competition system. Students face off in one-on-one matches and the winner moves on. The whole thing runs for 3 days. The first 2 days are auditions. Every student fights in 3 matches. Win enough and you advance. On the 3rd day, the real showdown begins. The top students go head-to-head, climbing the ranks until one is crowned this year's top scorer. The pressure? Off the charts. With that, the announcer kicked off the tournament. The matches started blazing across the arenas. Arena 1, 2 muscleheads throwing haymakers like it was personal. Arena 4, a martial arts chick going toe-to-toe with a bulky brute. But Arena 6, dead silent. Just one person standing in the middle, arms crossed waiting, and guess who her opponent is? Yeah, our boy who failed to show up. And according to the rules, if he didn't step into the ring before the timer hit 0, automatic forfeit. And his opponent? Guess who? Wang Xing, who was furious after being humiliated by him during the genetic conference. So she came here with full power to repay our boy for all the embarrassment she had to endure. She wanted smoke, and instead she got stood up. The crowd wasn't any happier. They were already calling him a coward, probably hiding at home, too scared to show his face. With time officially up, the ref raised his hand. Match abandoned, forfeit. And just like that, our boy was already losing without even stepping into the ring. But wait, people started sensing something wild heading straight for the arena. Looking up, they saw a cloud of smoke descending from the sky. Only it wasn't a cloud. It was our boy, flying in at Mach 4 straight toward the stage like a damn meteor. Boom, he crash-landed with an entrance so loud it rattled the stands. Wang Xing, she just stood there, stunned. Girl was not ready for this. She came to the tournament burning with revenge, all hyped up to repay the humiliation from the Gene conference. But before her tiny brain could even process what was happening, wham, a foot appeared right in front of her face, and the next second, she was airborne, launched clean across the arena like a rag doll. Our boy didn't even let her react. Bro was just glad he didn't miss his match, cause failing to show would have meant redoing this whole college entrance thing next year. Meanwhile, Wang Xing was out cold, lying on her back with drool leaking from the side of her mouth. Even the crowd erupted in cheers along with the announcer, who was hyped, declaring our boy the winner after a single hit. Meanwhile, our boy stood there in the middle with a creepy grin on his face. Apparently, he was able to get the blood jade fruit that the party harvested from the dragon. But absorbing such a power took him a lot of time, which is why he was so late to the tournament. But thanks to all that effort, he managed to reach 20% compatibility. With that, the second match starts, and our boy wipes the floor with the opponent with just one kick. Same thing in the third match. The opponent was no match to our boy's strength, and our boy made quick work of him. By then, the whole arena was cheering for him since he was taking out every opponent that came in his path with nothing but one attack. Fast forward, he was seen surrounded from all sides by the scouts from schools from all around the country. Since he managed to win all 3 matches without any effort, they wanted to scout him for themselves. But even though the offers were tempting, our boy wasn't interested, and he proudly declared that the only college he wanted to join was Huadu University. As soon as those words left his lips, everyone simply started walking away, thinking this guy was full of himself. There was no way he could join such a prestigious college with such power. Hearing all that chatter, our boy wasn't exactly thrilled. But he decided to just ignore them for now and show them what he was capable of with his fists. Just as he was about to walk away, he gets approached by 2 men in black suits who were there to reevaluate his martial arts level. After a couple of seconds, the results were out, and the man's jaw almost hit the floor seeing what the machine was showing him. He was already at the 9th level of martial arts. Seeing his expressions, our boy asks if they were accusing him of cheating, and here's the man saying something like that shouldn't be possible since he was just at level 3 half a month ago, and improving so rapidly was just physically impossible. They also did some digging on him and found out that he had been frequently visiting E-level secret realms and asked if that had something to do with his strength, and why he was visiting such a dangerous place before his college entrance, and our boy wasted no time jumping into full drama mode. He looked the man dead in the eyes and said, "It was my father's dying wish. He left me one message before he passed. If you want to surpass humanity, then don't be human." That answer was so cringe. Even the guy questioning him paused. Bro, what? But what our fool said next shocked both men even more, as they heard him saying he managed to achieve a breakthrough in his own genetic lock. That news was so shocking they didn't even bother grilling him further. They just started sprinting back to report this to their superiors. Fast forward, our boy was back in his room watching the tournament highlights on the news. Parents, siblings, even random uncles, all cheering like their kid just won the world. Despite doing so damn well in the tournament, there was no one out there cheering for him. That stung more than any punch he'd taken in the ring. But little did he know there was someone out there who had been cheering for him from the start. Yeah, it was his teacher. The one who always acted strict, barely cracked a smile, but never missed a single match. The story fast forwards, and it was already the next day of the promotion round, where our boy was to face off against an opponent named Shuan. And unlike his other opponents, this guy was said to be strong, since he got first place amongst those from his middle school and had awakened a rare 2nd-level magical beast bloodline. But our boy wasn't impressed with any of that and even told the kid he can have the first move. And that angered the opponent since he was being looked down upon. With that, he decides to finish the fight quickly and activates his bloodline from the very start to make quick work of our boy. Wasting no time, he activates his martial art, dashing lightning claw, and leaps straight toward our boy intending to end him. But our boy didn't flinch. He casually grabbed the incoming claws with 0 effort, leaving Shuan stunned. Then, with a slight squeeze, he made it clear this was over before it began. Seeing him on his knees, our hero decided not to waste any more time on this weakling. He raises his hand to finish the fight quickly and slams it onto his back so hard that the boy literally gets buried into the ground. With that one hit, our boy was declared the winner of that round. Same story, social media exploded, the crowd went wild, everyone losing their minds watching him one-shot every opponent that dared step in front of him. Meanwhile, the poor kid was being dragged out of the arena on a stretcher, while another person watches everything in silence. Guess who? It It was Luoshi who was looking forward to facing off against our boy in the final round. Meanwhile, in the live broadcast room of Huadu University's admissions office, our boy had caught the attention of someone who orders everyone present in the room to get him all the information on that kid within 30 minutes. The scene shifts back to the arena, where the second group's advancement matches were in full swing. It was a battle between two genius beauties. First, Kai Xiaoling, known as the Queen of Anqing's second senior high, and facing her was Liu Qingzhu, the unattainable flower of Anqing first senior high. With that, the match officially starts, and Kai Xiaoling wastes no time. She leaps straight toward Liu Qingzhu, aiming to end it fast. But seeing her coming, Liu calmly activates her skill, Sutra of Transient Splendor. A glowing barrier forms in front of her just in time, blocking the incoming kick. Kai gets bounced back, but she lands on her feet like a pro, and uses that same momentum to charge back in, this time with Howling Gale Step. But it happens again. Liu Qingzhu activates the same ability and blocks the attack. Only this time, instead of bouncing off, Kai's hand gets trapped inside the swirling air currents. She's left completely defenseless, and before she can even think of a way out, Liu launches a follow-up strike meant to end the fight. Everyone's stunned. That wasn't just some flashy move. It was a Shuan level technique, the kind only true masters could pull off. Realizing she might actually lose if that attack landed, Kai Xiaoling goes full beast mode, activates her third-tier royal bloodline, and transforms into a tiger. Using that power boost, she breaks free and leaps back to put some distance between them. Confident in her comeback, she demands Liu Qingzhu transform too, so they can fight on equal footing. But to her shock, Liu Qingzhu straight up refuses, says she's more than enough to take her down just like this. That pisses Kai Xiaoling off. Furious, she charges in with full power, claws burning with fire to end the match. But Liu dodges, smooth, effortless, graceful. But Kai Xiaoling wasn't done, and she throws another attack. But even that was ineffective, and Liu Qingzhu manages to dodge it as well. But that leaves an opening for Kai Xiaoling, so she uses her ability Crippling Kick and aims straight toward her legs. Seeing that, Liu Qingzhu activates Jade Finger and blocks the incoming strike with nothing but a single finger. Boom! The whole arena gets swallowed up in a massive explosion. Dust and debris go flying everywhere. The suspense was brutal. The crowd held their breath, waiting to see who came out on top. As the dust started to clear, they saw Kai Xiaoling, still on her feet, standing tall on the arena floor. It looked like she had won. But just as the ref was about to declare her the victor, everyone saw her eyes rolling back from the sheer exhaustion. As she started dropping to the ground, everyone saw Liu Qingzhu appearing from the dust cloud, standing calm and composed, not a scratch on her, having won the match using nothing but clean martial techniques. After a while, the top 8 advancement tournament draw ceremony began to decide who'd be facing who. First up was our boy. He reached into the box and pulled out a ball. It had the letter A on it. He turned and saw a towering behemoth of a man holding up a ball with the same letter. Yep, that was his next opponent. The guy introduced himself as Shen Guan from Qingfeng Private High. After the introductions, Shen Guan casually suggested they watch the first match together since there was still time before their own match kicked off. And our boy agreed. On the screen was Luoshi, absolutely overpowered. He wiped the floor with his opponent like it was nothing, and cruised straight into the next round. Watching that, our boy got a little curious and turned to Shen Guan, asking if he had to face off against that guy, how well does he think he would do? Shen Guan, acting all humble, informed our boy that he was the president of their martial arts club, senior year level. In terms of combat power, even if 2 of his teammates ganged up on him, they still wouldn't be able to take him down. But deep down, Shen Guan knew the truth. The only real threat in this entire tournament was our boy. He could sense it. That raw, untamed power bubbling under the surface, like a dormant volcano just waiting to blow, and inside it, a damn monster itching to get out. He suggested that both of them head to the arena since it was their turn now. With that, both men stood face to face, waiting for the referee to start their match, and as soon as the signal was given, both men wasted no time and threw punches towards each other with all their might. In terms of strength, both of them proved equal, and the energy released by their fists colliding started shattering ground underneath their feet. Shockwaves blasted through the arena, so strong that even the crowd had trouble staying on their feet due to the sheer intensity from their energies colliding. But Shen Guan noticed his nose bleeding for some reason and realized that this was because of Yi's ability and understood that somehow it was targeting the cells in his body from the inside out. But he didn't know how, so he covered his body using his martial energy to create a barrier. Seeing him do that, our boy was truly impressed. He knew his radiation would have no effect on him anymore, but he was equally excited, since this person in front of him was the first opponent he had faced in this tournament who was proving to be a monster not to be trifled with. By then, Shen Guan had already activated one of his family's inherited techniques. He stacked multiple boosts onto his body, pushing his physical stats to the absolute limit and leaped straight towards our boy. His movement speed was so fast that our boy's eyes weren't able to keep up with him. And before he could react, boom, a clean hit to the gut. The impact was so brutal that red liquid started gushing out of our boy's mouth, but it was still far from enough to take him down. He tanked the damage and managed to land back on his feet, but he noticed that the impact had done a lot of damage to his body. But before he could even catch his breath, Shen Guan was already coming in with another move, Bear Crush. Our boy barely managed to block it, but that's when he realized something way worse. Shen Guan wasn't just relying on brute strength. He was weaving his martial energy into every strike, causing damage on both the outside and inside of his body. Before our boy could even think of a way out, he saw Shen Guan's arm twist like a snake. And the next thing he knew, he was caught. Locked in the guy's grip, his entire body started getting crushed like a soda can. That's when Shen Guan dropped the real bomb. Not only could he infuse his body with martial energy, he could also lock his opponent's martial energy. Meaning, his opponent's internal flow gets sealed. They can't use any martial arts. Basically, our boy was in a world of hurt. Wasting no time, Shen Guan used Ape Hurl to launch our boy into the air, like he was tossing a ragdoll. And before gravity could even catch up, he activated Tiger's Pounce, leaping up after him like a damn predator. In midair, he slashed down hard, a clean hit, blood sprayed everywhere. But that wasn't all. Right after the slash, he activated Eagle Dive, plummeting straight down at full speed, and both of them crashed back onto the arena floor with a force so violent, it triggered a full-blown explosion, resulting in the entire place shaking rapidly. After some time, Shen Guan appeared from the dust, still unharmed. Seeing this, the medical staff instantly started rushing towards the arena to check up on our boy, because after getting hit by that combo, not even an ordinary martial artist could survive. But just as they were about to declare Shen Guan the winner, a massive surge of aura erupted from the arena and a voice echoed out, praising Shen Guan's strength. As the dust began to clear, they saw our boy, fully transformed after awakening his bloodline. His entire body was now covered in scales, and even the crowd was left in shock. This wasn't like the ordinary transformations they'd seen so far. This was the embodiment of a magical beast. Shen Guan himself was shitting bricks. He could tell just how screwed he was. That nosebleed from earlier, it finally clicked. It wasn't from a punch or pressure, it was radiation, straight up leaking out of our boy's body. And now, seeing him fully transformed like that, Shen Guan knew it was his turn to get absolutely wrecked. The people in charge of the tournament suddenly got hit with a disturbing alert. Radiation levels had spiked hard. At first, they thought it was a system error, but after double-checking the data, their faces turned pale. The nuclear radiation in that section of the arena was off the charts, way beyond safety limits, so they wasted no time and covered the whole arena with martial energy to prevent it from leaking. The crowd was just as confused, since this was their first time seeing a transformation such as this, and wondered how could such a powerful monster be unknown. Hearing their words, our boy realized that Demora was an unknown creature on this planet, and no one knew anything about it. Meanwhile, Shen Guan was lost in his own world. His martial arts wasn't able to shield him from the radiation anymore, and his body was getting weaker with every second. Realizing he can't drag this fight any longer, he activates his own bloodline awakening and transforms into his beast form to finish this quickly. Wasting no time, Shen Guan combined all his martial techniques to boost his body strength even further and launched himself straight toward our boy like a human missile. But our boy was ready. Calm as ever, he activated his own martial art, Mountain Arresting Fist, and with a single motion, unleashed a wave of raw energy straight at him. The moment the blast connected with Shen Guan's arm, it was over. The impact hit like a freight train, and everyone watching could almost hear it, bone after bone snapping apart under the sheer pressure. His entire arm started shattering piece by piece from fingers to shoulder, as if it had been run through a grinder. Seeing this, any hope of winning Shen Guan had vanished as he saw our hero walking towards him to finish the fight. But for some reason, Shen Guan instantly got back in his fighting stance, ready to try and take him on with his remaining good hand. But deep down, he knew this wasn't the same fight anymore. Now that Yi had awakened his bloodline, he wasn't able to suppress his martial energy anymore, which meant from this point on, Yi will fight him at full power. As he was distracted with all that, our boy had already lunged towards him, and wasting no time, he started delivering a barrage of attacks on Shen Guan's body and managed to drop him to the ground. But little did he know, this was Shen Guan's plan all along. He turns his hand into a snake once more and manages to wrap it around Yi's wrist. In that split-second opening, Shen Guan wasted no time. He launched himself up, twisted, and moved straight to Yi's back, aiming to lock him down and end it before things got worse. But our boy wasn't falling for the same trick twice. The moment Shen Guan went for the grab, he leapt high into the air, and what Shen Guan saw next nearly gave him a heart attack. A gigantic foot, like it belonged to some ancient beast, came crashing down from above. At the last second, Shen Guan barely dodged, but the impact still blew out a massive chunk of the arena, reducing it to rubble. When the dust settled, there he was, our boy standing tall, both legs buried halfway into the cracked ground from the force, and now it was his turn to attack. With that, he gathered up all his energy to put it into this final attack that would decide the match's outcome. But just as he was about to land the hit, he saw Shen Guan falling on his knees for some reason, and in the very next second, bam! He had his head pressed against the ground, forfeiting the match. This shocked our boy so much, and he was fuming with anger. After taking hit after hit, getting tossed, slammed, crushed, and finally getting the upper hand, the bastard gives up. Yeah, our boy was fuming, straight up robbed of his moment, but he had no other choice. Rules were rules. If one side surrendered, the other wasn't allowed to land another hit. So our boy had to suck it up and transform back into his human form. Still pissed though. That match didn't end how he wanted. Meanwhile, the crowd screaming like maniacs. The energy in the arena was insane after witnessing a fight like that, and on social media, the memers were already on it. Shen Guan's before and after pics were spreading like wildfire. Guy went from final boss to floor mat in under a minute. If there was one person who wasn't happy how things turned out, it was the chairman of Qingfeng Private High, who was fuming with anger after seeing Shen Guan lose to someone from a nobody school. Seeing him approaching, the man loses it and lashes out, reminding him they spent a fortune on his training and he just forfeited the match just like that, and reminds him he now needed to pay back the school for everything they spent on him. But Shen Guan just calmly placed a hand on the chairman's shoulder and, with a calm voice, explains that he had no other choice since he knew his body couldn't handle that next hit, and if he had took it head on he'd be crippled, maybe dead. So to prevent further damage, he forfeited and assures him not to worry, since he will slowly repay all the money the school invested in him over time. But before leaving, he reminded the man that he shouldn't threaten a warrior who is stronger than him. That line alone was enough to make the old man feel his knees go soft. With that, the top four were officially locked in. These were the ones who'd battle it out in the finals for the top spot. And yep, our boy was one of them. Seeing his name up there among the finalists, the principal of his school was so pleased that he on the spot decided to promote old Lu and give him a raise. By then, our boy was already picking balls to see who his next opponent was going to be, and guess who it turned out to be? The beauty herself, Liu Qingzhou. With that, the matchups were officially set, and the audience was brimming with excitement to see who would come out on top. Social media was going absolutely insane. This was the most hyped showdown since the exam started. Some were betting on Liu Qingzhou, claiming she had the edge. After all, she'd already mastered 2 mysterious royal martial arts and used them to beat Kai Shaoling, even when she was in her beast form. That wasn't something to take lightly. But then there was our boy, the wild card. His performance so far, spectacular, one-shotting opponents like it was nothing. And let's not forget, his bloodline was still a mystery. No one knew what to expect, and that uncertainty had people hooked. The stage was set, the stakes were high, and both sides had something to prove. With that, both combatants stood face to face on the arena, where the referee officially starts the match between both of them. As soon as the signal was given, our boy didn't hesitate, since he knew this time the opponent was no ordinary martial artist, and activated his trump card from the get-go. That somewhat surprises the girl, but she was not intimidated in the slightest. And before she knew it, she found herself standing face to face with the king of the beasts. Well, almost. He was still in human form. Turns out the transformation wasn't for intimidation. It was strategy. He needed time, since he knew her martial arts were on a whole different level, and no matter how strong his power was, if he couldn't land a hit, it would mean jack. Not just that, but she possessed a very high battle IQ, meaning the longer this fight dragged on, the worse it was going to get for him. Thinking that, he appeared out of the smoke to surprise attack her using his mountain-arresting fist. But the girl was too fast, and she instantly created a barrier between them to block the attack. But little did she know that was all part of our boy's strategy, and he instantly changed stance and delivered a powerful blow to her from the side. The attack was powerful, but the girl was also resilient, and she somersaulted herself to safety. But the King of Beasts wasn't going to let her go so easily, and he instantly leaped straight towards her once more, not giving her any time to recover, and forced the poor girl to block that attack using her body. With that, a brutal beatdown began, followed by hateful comments from the viewers criticizing our boy for using such cheap tricks to fight his opponent. But our boy wasn't paying attention to any of that noise. He wasn't here to impress the audience. He was here to win, so he kept on pushing her back using nothing but brute strength. Seeing her getting launched away like that, the audience thought this was her chance to recover and fight back. But no way that was happening. He instantly fired off a massive slash of energy straight toward her. She saw it coming and knew right away, blocking something like that was a no-go. So instead, she leaped into the air and dodged the attack entirely. And the moment she got a look at the sheer destructive power behind that attack, she froze, stunned, but that split-second distraction cost her. Before she could react, our boy had already closed the gap between them, and just like that, it was back to the flurry of attacks. Liu Qingzhou was forced to block every hit with her body, and while she held her ground at first, the damage was starting to pile up fast. Every impact was taking a toll, and she wondered if this guy's stamina even has a limit. She knew she could easily defeat him if she used her martial arts, but the problem was she needed time to use them, and he wasn't giving her that time. With that, she was forced to the edge of the arena, and she knew she wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer, and falling off this stage meant defeat. But she wasn't planning on losing in such a manner, so with no other choice, she was forced to use her own trump card. And our boy saw her pupils changing shape and something appeared in front of his fists, blocking his attacks. Before he knew it, the girl was in the air, using her bloodline awakening called Nether Bird, and he saw her completely transformed in her beast form. The entire arena went wild. This was the first time they had seen her use this ability. But the girl wasn't planning on wasting time, and she warned our boy not to hold back, since she wasn't able to control her strength in this form. And that actually hyped up our boy, since up until now he had been using only 50% of his strength, but now he can go all out and show everyone what he was capable of. But before he could even finish that sentence, Liu appeared behind him like a flash of light, and not giving him any time to react, she activated her offensive martial arts called Hunyuan Jade Finger. Seeing this, our boy activates Atomic Blast Fist and decided to face her full might head-on. With that, both warriors' fists clashed, shattering everything around them. The sheer force of their clash sent a jolt through the arena, the kind that made your spine tingle just from watching. Even the audience, sitting way off in the distance, were nearly blown away by the shockwaves. But as it stopped, Liu Qingzhu found herself getting pushed back and almost got launched out of the arena. But she managed to stop herself. But as she turned towards our boy, what she saw made her freeze. Our boy was surging with an overwhelming amount of energy. The ground trembled beneath him, and the entire arena was shaking like it was about to collapse. Seeing this sight, Liu Qingzhu knew that this energy fluctuation she was feeling was not a good sign. And not just that, but his transformation was changing. The protruding spine on his back was pulling energy from all around him, gathering power like a living core. Before she could fully process what was happening, all that energy gathering around Yuaiji's body suddenly focused near his mouth. Then boom! A massive atomic breath beam roared out, tearing through the air straight toward her. Just the sound alone was enough to make her heart skip. This wasn't some flashy light show. This was destruction in its purest form. Thinking fast, she curled her body inside her wings, activating her latent ability, awakening just in time. Her wings formed a cocoon of feathers, trying to block the beam. But Yi wasn't letting up. He kept pouring power into the attack, burning through her defense like a blowtorch through paper. The pressure was insane. Her barrier started cracking. With no other choice, she redirected all the energy she had left to deflect the beam outward, sending the blast skyward in a desperate gamble to avoid getting obliterated. All those energy beams that got deflected didn't just disappear. They went flying straight toward the audience like heat-seeking missiles. No one had time to react. Panic set in, people started screaming, bracing for impact. But just before the beams could hit, a massive barrier flared up in front of the stands, absorbing every last blast like it was nothing. And from within the golden shimmer of that shield, a man in a sharp suit appeared, who turned out to be the mayor of the city himself. Turns out he wasn't just there for the show. He came to witness firsthand the rise of the strongest champion in the city's history. Seeing the mayor step in like that, the audience and even the judges couldn't hold back. They erupted in cheers. The whole stadium shook with applause. But back in the arena, things were dead silent. Liu Qingzhu was still standing, but just barely. Her wings were burned to a crisp. Her breath was ragged. She was battered, drained, and unable to believe what had just happened. The Netherbird bloodline was known for its unbreakable defense, but this guy? He broke through it like it was paper, with just one strike, and she wondered if she can even beat someone like him. With that, the scene shifted into a quiet flashback, one painted with pressure, pain, and silent determination. From a young age, Liu Qingzhu had been burdened with a single mission: revive the honor of her fallen family. And the one behind that weight? Her mother. She wasn't some loving figure who made sacrifices, she was the one who forced it all on her. From the moment Liu Qingzhu could walk, she was drilled, pushed, and shaped into a weapon. No breaks, no childhood, no room for mistakes, just cold training and suffocating expectations, all for a future she never asked for. A future built on someone else's broken pride. And for her, losing wasn't an option. It never had been. Back in the present, standing in the broken arena with her wings burned and body trembling, Liu Qingzhu wasn't just fighting Yihei anymore. She was fighting all those memories crashing back at once. But looking at him, she knew, no matter what she did, there was no way she could beat him. Still, all that trauma from her childhood wasn't about to let her back down now. Even if it meant dying here, at least it would finally be her choice. Her way out of this cursed life. With that resolve burning in her chest, she charged straight at him. If he wasn't going to end it, she'd force him to. And just like that, she landed a clean, direct hit on his chest. But what stunned her wasn't the attack, it was him. He didn't move, didn't even lift a hand to defend himself. With a trembling voice, she asked, "Why didn't you try to dodge?" But instead of answering, he just looked at her and asked, what happened to her fighting spirit? That one question hit harder than any punch she'd taken. She froze. Then came the next blow. "Why aren't you looking me in the eye anymore?" With that, he charged forward, shouting that he was going to win this title fair and square. Seeing him come at her like that, the girl froze, and the next second, a brutal punch landed square on her face, knocking her to the ground. Standing over her, he glared down, saying he wanted her to face him with everything she's got. And if she won't bring that resolve out herself, he'll beat it out of her. Then came the ground and pound. Fist after fist crashing down straight on her face, not to humiliate, but to push her to her breaking point. The girl was clearly confused, since she was handing him the win willingly, but for some reason he still wanted to fight her, so she asked the reason. But our boy kept on beating her up, and hearing no answer, something snapped in her, and out of nowhere, A new power exploded out of her body as she calls him an a-hole for hitting a girl on her face. This was exactly what our boy wanted, and he started smiling. This was exactly what he'd been waiting for. Her true form had finally awakened, a taboo martial art called blood ignition. Her body fully recovered, her aura raging, and the pressure around her shifted completely. With fire in her eyes, she looked him dead in the eyes, telling him to get ready. She was about to defeat him using her full power, just like he asked. Seeing that she wasn't holding back anymore, our boy did the same. He transformed into his beast form and combined his hard skin with hard qigong, his physical skill that fused the Demura template with energy control, known as the nuclear light combat body. With that, he flew straight toward her, hungry for a real fight. Watching him close in, Liu Qingzhu calmly raised her hand, and out of nowhere, a massive tornado erupted in front of her. It was one of her skill called Tearing Hurricane. But our boy didn't stop. He flew straight into it and from within, tore the thing apart like it was nothing. Then activated his explosive fist and charged toward her with everything he had. Seeing him coming, Liu Qingzhu inhaled sharply and let out a powerful screech from her mouth, another one of her defensive abilities. The two attacks collided with ridiculous force, creating shockwaves all around them, but her scream proved just strong enough to push our boy back. That's when he realized he couldn't underestimate her anymore. So he decided to retaliate with his own screaming attack and started gathering up energy in his spine. Seeing him preparing his ultimate move, Liu Qingzhu also dropped all her defenses and poured every ounce of power into her final attack, her family's strongest move. All the energy she had left was focused into a single point, right at the tip of her finger. And then, boom, our boy unleashed his atomic breath. A blinding beam of destruction roared from his mouth, ripping through the air with devastating force, heading straight for her. It was do or die now. Liu Qingzhu didn't hold back either. She launched her final move, Netherworld Bloodthorns, hurling it toward him with everything she had. Both attacks screamed toward each other, and the moment they were about to collide, panic erupted outside the arena. Everyone knew this wasn't just a fight anymore. This was a full-blown detonation waiting to happen. And worst of all, neither of these two monsters had any control over it anymore. Seeing the situation spiraling out of control, the mayor had no choice but to step in. He instantly activated his gene technique, and in a flash, 3 massive walls erupted in the middle of the arena. It was a defensive ability known as Divine Leveling Wall, meant to block catastrophic attacks like this. With that, both attacks collided with the wall, shattering it into chunks. The arena went still as the dust began to settle, everyone holding their breath to see what was left behind. Even the mayor looked stunned, seeing that his wall was broken by those two, even though it was an incomplete wall that he had to put up in a hurry. But still, the fact these two managed to break it, that alone spoke volumes. By then, the dust had started to clear up and a bloodied hand dangled into view. It was Liu Qingzhu, whose left arm was completely destroyed after using such a powerful attack, and her power of the magical beasts had also exhausted, meaning this was her true limit. But still, she knew she needed to get back up since she can't lose after coming so far. But before she can, she saw our boy appearing right in front of her from the dust, completely unharmed. Seeing this, she wondered how could this be possible, since she was sure her attack landed directly on him. But there was not even a scratch on his body. But our boy was more concerned about her, since he knew she needed to get rid of that nuclear radiation on her arm. Otherwise, she was going to end up a cripple the rest of her life. That caught her off guard. He was worried about her. Even after everything, she didn't know what to say. Her emotions were spiraling, and before she could stop herself, she snapped, demanding to know why he pushed her so far and forced her into a fight like that. Hearing her question, our boy simply crouched down in front of her, and with a calm voice, he asked if deep down, she didn't want to fight him with her true power either. He asked her to stop being rebellious and admit that she has a competitive fire burning inside her. He told the girl that when both of them were fighting, he felt her desire for victory. Hearing his words, the girl knew he was right. In that moment, all she wanted was to beat him. She even threw away her defenses and poured everything she had in that final attack. And all this was strange for her, because up until now, she hated fighting. That is why she wanted to lose to him as soon as possible. But that fire she felt inside her was real, and that was the first time she truly wanted to win. As she stood there lost in thought, our boy casually placed his hand on her shoulder, snapping her out of it. Her face turned red as a tomato, flustered by how close he was. Then, with a calm voice, he told her that during their fight, she had too many distracting thoughts, and that's why she lost. Before she could respond, he began healing her injured arm using his ability. A warm energy wrapped around it, and in seconds, the damage was completely gone. No scars, no pain, it was back to 100%. And just as he turned to leave, he looked back over his shoulder and said, "By far, you were the strongest opponent I've ever faced. Next time, if we ever meet again, I hope we can have a purist battle." And with that, their match finally came to an end. Standing tall amidst the dust and destruction, our boy looked around and declared himself as the victor of the match. With that, it was finally time for the final round. The spotlight was on. The tension was thick and the entire city was watching. It was our boy versus Luozi, the long-awaited showdown everyone had been hyping since day one. Luozi himself had been itching for this fight the whole damn time. eager to prove himself and settle the score. The moment the match was announced, viewership skyrocketed. Streams, social media, news feeds, everyone was tuned in. This wasn't just a fight anymore, it was a spectacle. The battle for the crown. As soon as the signal was given, Luoji wasted no time and started creating clones of himself and started charging towards our boy, doing some weird sword dances. And as soon as he was ready, he threw a bunch of ice shards towards our hero, but our boy didn't even flinch. He simply slammed the ground underneath his feet using explosive fist and destroyed all the projectiles coming his way. Not just that, he even destroyed all the clones that Luoji had created in the process. Seeing the raw power behind that attack, Luoji instantly realized that going in hand-to-hand combat was a death wish. So Luoji switched tactics and decided to fight him from a distance and exhaust his stamina. Thinking that, he activated his bloodline called Ice Elemental Dragon, and his entire body transformed, cloaked in frost and scales. Wasting no time, he raised his claws and unleashed a powerful ice-based technique. A massive blast of frozen energy surged toward our hero, and within seconds, he was completely sealed inside an ice prison. But that attack came with a price. It put a massive toll on Luoji's body. Just maintaining the transformation drained him, and launching that ice prison pushed him close to his limit. And just when he thought he'd secured the upper hand, he noticed something glowing deep inside the ice. Before he could react, a massive energy wave exploded from within the prison, shattering it like glass. Seeing the wave coming towards him, Luoji instantly activated his defensive ability to block the thing, but it was no use, as the attack completely obliterated the ice wall. With that, our boy appeared from the ice like an absolute badass, aura surging around him as if he'd just taken a stroll through a blizzard, and tells Luoji his ice dragon power had never worked on him. He was just testing his power. Hearing those words, Luoji realizes that the gap between their strength was too big. So he decides to use his trump card and tells our boy he only has one move left, which was the limit of his martial arts, a technique so powerful, he had originally saved it for a potential showdown with Liu Qingzhu. With that, he activates his trump card and a massive ice sword manifests in his hand. This wasn't just some flashy move, it was an advanced level ability called Soul Damaging Sword. Even the mayor was left speechless, staring in disbelief. He couldn't believe a kid that young had actually mastered something that dangerous. Wasting no time, Luoji swung the massive thing straight at our boy, but all it managed to do was leave a tiny cut on his hand. Our boy just looked at him and said, "If you ever get a better sword in the future, maybe then you'll stand a chance." Seeing the sight, Luoji was left stunned, unable to believe his eyes. Not only did his attack do nothing, but the damn sword itself shattered into pieces. Realizing the situation, he asked our boy how much of a chance he had of winning against him, to which our boy smiled, telling him, about the same as winning the lottery without buying a ticket. Hearing those words, Luoji instantly raised his hand and forfeited the match on the spot. With that, our boy was officially declared the winner of the match. Damn, final round, and it turned out boring as hell. But still, the crowd went wild. Everyone was hyped to see the underdog take the crown. Social media exploded. A complete nobody rising from the bottom and steamrolling his way to the top. That kind of story always hits. The news of his victory spread like wildfire across the city. Back in the arena, the whole place was shaking from all the cheering. The crowd was losing it. Even the mayor himself stepped onto the stage to personally congratulate our boy. These past 3 days have been a complete roller coaster for the participants, the crowd, and everyone watching. With the hype still in the air, the announcer finally approached our boy and asked him to say a few words to the audience. That actually startled him a bit. He hadn't prepared for this part. But still, gathering up his courage, our boy stepped up to the mic and started by thanking his teacher for encouraging him when he was at his lowest point and giving him the motivation to push forward and work harder. Hearing those words, old Liu burst into tears on the spot. He knew that wasn't true. If anything, he had been careless, barely fulfilling his duties as a teacher. But despite that, our boy gave him all the credit, and that hit deep. Meanwhile, the principal wasn't about to let this golden moment slip by, so he started waving like crazy, trying to get our boy's attention. The second he locked eyes, the man sneakily flashed some hand signals, basically telling him to give the school a shout-out, and in return, hook him up with a 2 million won scholarship. Our fool saw that, and his eyes literally turned into dollar signs. Without missing a beat, he switched gears and started praising the headmaster's visionary leadership and unmatched dedication, claiming that none of this would have been possible without him. And finally, he wrapped it up by thanking the most important person of all, himself, for putting in so much work and dedication, without which none of this would have been possible. As soon as he finished his speech, a system notification appeared in front of him, congratulating him for winning the title of #1 scholar, and as a reward, he was going to receive a random template ability. Well, that's a wrap, guys. Thank you if you made it this far. Leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.